A very good morning, everyone. I welcome you all in our today's webinar. As we all know that we from Vidya Vijay Foundation comes every second and fourth Saturday with the prominent personalities who used to share their valuable knowledge and experiences in the legal sector through this platform. And by taking this initiative forward, today we have with us CS Gautam Verma, who would share his valuable knowledge on our today's topic, that is corporate social responsibility. Before going towards our today's topic, let me give you a very brief introduction of Mr. Gautam. CS Gautam Verma is a fellow member of Institute of Company Secretaries of India, and he is also a rank holder of CS examination. He is graduate in law as well as in science and master's in business administration in finance. Mr. Gautam has an extensive experience of more than 13 years of working in various corporate listed companies and abiding compliances, corporate and core litigation, corporate law, intellectual property management, contact management, and corporate consultancy in big corporate houses in India, namely Ranbaxy Laboratories Limited, HCL Limited, Archie's Limited, Shalimar Paints Limited, and Philips. He is also expert in listed corporate compliances, legal matters related to corporate litigation, consumer litigation, civil suits, IPR, labor laws, family litigation, registration and licenses, and POSH. Mr. Gautam is an active member of one of the renowned NGO. He solely works in the area of POSH. He is certified POSH trainer. Mr. Gautam imparted training on POSH to a number of people and organizations across Pan-India, to the directors, KPMGs, and various management personnel of big corporate houses. Mr. Gautam is a regular speaker and faculty at ICSI, various law colleges, management colleges, industrial workshops, and government organizations. Now, I would like to request Mr. Gautam to start with our today's topic.
Thanks a lot, Nikita ji, for your kind words. I hope I'm audible, Nikita ji.
Yes, you're audible.
Yes, hi, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So, good morning to everyone here. Good morning. Thanks a lot, Nikita ji, for a very fabulous interpretation of what I have done and all, and placing on records. So, thanks a lot to you. And welcome to all the members who have just spared time and joined us for this session. The special thanks I would like to put forward for Nityanand sir, who has given me an opportunity to be part of it and get associated with our family members. It's just like a team to everyone, which we are acting as a family members. And there's a very great noble cause which has been taken care by Nityanand ji. So thanks a lot, sir, for providing me an opportunity. So I think
it's our pleasure also. It's our pleasure also.
Thank you.
Most welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I think most of the members have joined us.
They keep on joining because sometimes people.
Yeah, true. So I think we should start with it, sir, with your permission.
Yes.
With your permission, we should start it. So first of all, the topic which have been assigned, it's a very important topic as of today's scenario, which is CSR. CSR in itself a word which means as a corporate social responsibility, which itself defines that the corporate, which is a business houses in India, social responsibility they have as a company in India. So I would also be very open to the people who are as a members joining as a team, that we will have to interpret the law in a very basic and common term, what it talks about, what is the obligation which a corporate houses have in the terms of responsibility, whether it would be in terms of the money or to the social welfare which needs to be done. So that to be taken into consideration. Secondly, we also have to keep in mind, prima facie, that, this corporate social responsibility, which has been mandated by the Act, the Companies Act of India, for the corporates which have the benchmark, which I would be sharing in the course of time with my PPT, that who all have to do the corporate social responsibility, what are the obligation to the companies, what is the amount which needs to be paid, and what would be its mode of operation. So these all points we would be discussing it. But we also have to keep in our mind that this corporate social responsibility is just a onus which has been given to the corporates by the ministry, but putting in apprehension that that should be in a compliant manner, which needs to be taken care by the professionals like you and me, who are the chartered accountant, company secretaries, and the lawyers, and who are the custodian of compliances in the Indian facets. So I would request everyone to put in a view with the points, how it goes with. I would also give some practical example, like, as I've started the topic, company has came into my mind. Everyone would appreciate the name of a Satyam. Satyam was a company which was highest in the corporate social responsibility in 2011 annual report filing, which was done. But the scam of Satyam has shown it that the corporate social responsibility is not the benchmark of the compliance. But we as a professionals always have to keep in our mind that we always go for the positive side of the compliance, and we have to do the compliance by the heart and a soul. And we always have an apprehension that what this word explains itself, like the corporate social responsibility, when a corporate is earning or growing revenue on this mother earth, they have to give it back to the mother earth, give back to the society in whatever mode or facets they can be easily able to give it back, so that it could be benefited to the society all around and benefited to them also as an individual, as a corporate. So with the permission, I would like to share a short PPT which would give a roadmap that what are the important aspects we as a professional should know when we are handling the transactions of a corporate social responsibility. Because as I would also put in view, like I have worked with the top-notch brands in India, who were all the top-notch listed companies in India. So every listed companies who used to do the corporate social responsibility, they had few things in our mind. A lot of changes had come in this CSR compliances, and this formations, its operations had been made very operational in the day-to-day functioning. So would the permission, I would like to share a short PPT. Give me a moment, everyone. Is my PPT is visible to everyone?
No, no. It's not visible.
No? Okay, just a moment, sir.
Yes, it is now visible.
Yeah, okay. So thank you, sir. So putting forward the points, what I wanted to discuss as a CSR. CSR is, as per the provisions of section 135 of subsection 1, says that to whom companies the CSR applicability is there, and how it would work. It would work to the constitution of a CSR committee. So first of all, we have to keep in our mind that every company which is having a net worth of 500 crores, rupees 500 crores or more, or a turnover of rupees 1000 crores, or a net profit of rupees 5 crore or more, during the immediately preceding financial year shall constitute a CSR, Corporate Social Responsibility Committee of the board, which would be consisting of 3 or more directors, out of which at least one director shall be independent director. So we have to put in the mind that there are 3 benchmarks which has been given, that who all have to form a CSR committee on the applicability of CSR to them. And how it would be formed? A board would form with the 4 of the directors, in which one of the directors should be the independent director. Why the independent director? I think I'll just, everyone is aware, but I will also like to add as a professional that independent directors are the directors who are not basically involved in the day-to-day functioning of the business of the company. So the authorities, the ministry and the SEBI, in the terms of a listed company, wanted to have one of the independent directors on in this committee. So to have a tap or have a visual that how the functions is going on and where they could guide as a director to the entire board. So putting forward that provided that where a company is not required to appoint an independent director under subsection 4 of 149, it shall have in its CSR committee 2 or more directors, where there is not the applicability of the independent directors. So this is all about the CSR committee compositions. Now, section 135 subsection 2 says that to disclose the composition of CSR committee in the board report, we have to keep in a mind, like when the board report of the company, which is approved and made for the company and is placed towards the board of directors, this composition needs to be disclosed as a CSR committee. So that would be depicting that who all are the directors who are in this committee and taking care of it. Now, what this CSR committee does, what is the role of this CSR committee? So we have to be very, very vigilant and prompt in the terms of saying that what is the role of a CSR committee? While formations of the CSR committee, we have to keep in mind that the CSR committee have to formulate and recommend it to the board a CSR policy. So first of all, what this committee does, first of all, a board has formed a CSR committee. This committee, on the apprehensions and guidance of the board, will make a CSR policy. This CSR policy would include that what all activities needs to be taken by the company in the areas or subject as per the specified Schedule 7. There is a Schedule 7 in the Companies Act 2013, where there is a list of the areas where we can do the activities as a CSR. So these list of activities should also form the part of the CSR policy. I will also like to add here, like if the company is a listed company, so this CSR policy also needs to be placed on the website of the company. Secondly, what the CSR committee would do, it would recommend the amount of expenditure to be incurred on the activities which are referred in the subclause A as per the Schedule 7. So they will recommend it the amount of the expenditure which needs to be done. Its final calculation goes like, just the 2% of the net profits of the preceding financial year, and that net profits would be calculated in the terms of section 198 of the Companies Act. So we'll further discuss this point. So we have to calculate that CSR expenditure and monitor the CSR policy of the company from time to time. See what it happens if the company is doing the CSR activities and you have enlisted in the Schedule 7 you are doing. For example, you adopted one CSR policy, and in the second phase of the year or somewhere you wanted to do something different in that as per schedule only. So you had to make your policy updated. Also, you need to go to the CSR committee and take the approvals of whatever changes you are making. Achha, everyone, I just want to request you, anyone who is getting any doubt in between, would request that they can put it a point, or sir, how we can do it at the end of the session, whatever you guide.
Yes, if there is any doubt, then they can put it in the chat box, and certainly it will be answered at the end of the.
Great.
Maybe possible that in between their queries may be resolved when we are taking the session.
Great. Thank you.
Anyone having doubt, then they can put in the chat box.
Okay, sure. Thank you. So this is the CSR committee formation has gone through, and now what is the board's role in the CSR. See, this is one of the very important part the board has to play when it's a term CSR functioning is there. The board of every company referred in the subsection 1 shall say that after taking into account the recommendations made by the CSR committee, approve the CSR policy for the company and disclose the contents of such policy in their report. See, what it happens is CSR committee has formed the CSR policy, which also needs to be approved from the board. And that also needs to be disclosed in the board's report, which would be forming the part of the annual report of the company even. And as I told earlier, this policy and the board report would also be reflected on the website of the company. So in such manner as they are prescribed by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So they have given a format in which we have to make it, and we have to make it a part of an annual report, and that also needs to be placed on the website of the company. Secondly, it says that they ensure that all the activities as are included in the CSR policy of the company are undertaken by the company. See, what the policy, where it has been formed by the board by the recommendation of board by the CSR committee, these policy always have a visual on what the functioning is going on. They also keep a check. These committees basically, when they releases the funds or when they make the changes in the policies in terms of the area where they have to make the this CSR expenditure. So that always kept a tab through the CSR committee, and the committee's member also, if they wishes, they have the meetings where they internally pass these all informations, and then they also played it to the board of the company, so that the board must be aware of what the functioning is going on with the day-to-day changes coming up in the room. So that makes the board updated of the functioning in course of time. Now, it talks about the corporate social responsibilities board role in CSR. 135 subsection 5. That's what's the board role in CSR. The board of every company, the referred in the subsection 1, shall ensure that the company spends in every financial year at least 2% of the average net profit of the company made during the 3 immediately preceding financial years, where the company has not completed the 3 financial year since its incorporation during such immediately financial year in the pursuance of the CSR policy. See, what now it comes, now the board has a onus to decide that as per the interpretation of law, as per the MCA guidelines, that what is the amount the company had to spend as a CSR. So Act says that as per regulations subsection 1 of, you have to spend 2% of the average net profits of the company made during the 3 preceding financial years. And where the company has not completed 3 financial years, for example, if they have completed only 2 financial years, so that 2 financial years will be considered. Now, this 2% of the average net profit would be calculated. So this net profit would be calculated as per section 198 of the Companies Act. There, we have a format that what all to be taken, like the SPA should be security and premium account to be considered, and inventories are considered or not. So we have to go through the calculation of net profits as per section 198 of the Companies Act, and then we have to calculate 2% of the average net profit for 3 preceding financial. The amount which comes is eligible for the CSR expenditure. Now, provided that the company shall give preference to the local areas and areas around it where it operates for spending the amount earmarked for CSR activities. See, one point also had the ministry in mind, and even with the guidance of the SEBI, they have a purview, like whatever you are earning from that particular area. So first owners, you should have toward the local areas where your company is operating, and try to spend that CSR amount in those local areas. So that would be benefit to the people living around those areas. Provided further that if anyone fails to spend such amount, the board shall, in its report made under the section 139 subsection 3(4), specify the reason for not spending the amount, And unless the unspent amount relates to any ongoing projects referred in section 135 subsection C, transfer that unspent amount to fund specified in the schedule 7 within a period of 6 months from the expiry of financial year. See what it happens, number of times, what the technical problem we have faced also. For example, as a corporate also, when you have calculated that amount, the board comes up with the number of queries and they say that they are not able to find out the place where they had to make this CSR expenditure. Also, everyone please keep in mind, the CSR expenditure would only be used in the areas where the company is not getting benefited directly. For example, if I'm a corporate and if I have a CSR amount of 1 crore, so I will have to spend as per the CSR policy of the company. I could not spend that amount for the benefit of my employees. For example, I cannot open hospital for my employees. I cannot do charity to the children of my employees, for example, paying the school fees or anything. So number of cases we have found that, you know, the company was doing as a charity to the employees. But the act is very, very prudent and clear in this point that you cannot spend this amount for the benefit of your employee. So if the company fails to spend the amount, they will have to specify the reason for not spending the amount, and the unspent amount on an ongoing project needs to be transferred to a fund which has been made, and within a period of 6 months of expiry of those financial year, they should transfer the amount to a particular unspent amount account they should open, and they should transfer the amount. Provided that if any company spends an excess of requirement provided under this subsection, such company may set off such expenses amount against the requirement to spend under this subsection for such number of succeeding financial year in such manner as may prescribe. See what it happens, if the company, if I had a 1 crore obligation and I used 1.25 crores, so they can do, but they can also set off those, you know, such excess amount against the requirement of this should be succeedingly added into the obligation which will be coming to the company in the coming financial years. Now, how here the purpose of taxation net profit shall not include such sums as may prescribed and shall be calculated under provisions of Act. This is the same point which I have discussed earlier, that you have to go through the section 198, what it shows, that how the calculation of profits would be done. Now, there is a transfer of unspent amount to the UNSCRA.
You're not audible, Mr. Gautam. Disconnected.
I'm audible, sir?
Yes, now please.
Yeah. Sorry for the intervention. Yeah, so I was here that we are talking about the section 135 subsection 6, which says that that if pursuant to any ongoing project, such conditions as prescribed, the CSR policy should specify that it to be transferred, that amount, that unspent amount shall be transferred within a period of 30 days from the end of the financial year to a special account which is opened by the company in that behalf, where the unspent amount is saved on. So corporate social responsibility account, and such amount shall be spent by the company in pursuance of the obligation towards the CSR policy within a period of 3 years from the date of such transfer. Following
your PPT is not visible.
Pardon? PPT is not visible?
Yes, PPT not visible.
Sorry, 1 minute. Give me a moment. So is it now?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry for the inconvenience. So coming up here, what the Act says that as per section 135 subsection 5, if the company is not able to spend that amount, that unspent amount of CSR should be transferred within the 30 days of the end of the financial year to a separate unspent corporate social responsibility account, which is to be opened by the company. And see, such amount shall be spent by the company as per the CSR policy, which is mandated and made by the company, and that amount should be spent within a period of 3 financial years from the day it had been transferred in that unspent CSR amount, which is spent as per the schedule 7 and within a period of 30 days from the date of completion of 3 financial years. So there are 2-3 points which needs to be kept in our mind, which is as per the regulations 135 subsection 5. Now, what it says, if you don't do this compliance, what are the penalty which comes to the company as a owners? If a company is in default in complying with the provision of section 135 5 and 6, see the points, very important point to be kept in mind. If the company shall be liable to a penalty of twice the amount required to be transferred by the company to a fund specified in schedule 7 under the unspent CSR account, as the case may be, or 1 crore rupees, whichever is this. For example, if I had to spend 10 lakh rupees, so that has been transferred. If I don't do, what the penalty? 20 lakhs I'll have to spend. Say penalty twice of the amount required, 20 lakhs, or as the case may be, or 1 crore rupees, whichever is lesser. For example, it goes around 75 lakhs to me and I don't spend. So penalty goes to me 1.5 crore. So at that point of time, that leverage has been given to the MCA that the case may be one more rupees 1 crore, whichever is this, which means like the 1 crore is the benchmarking which you have to keep in our mind that you will have to give as a penalty to the MCA. First thing. And second thing, the most stringent part, every officer of the company who is in default shall be liable to a penalty of 1/10 of the amount required to be transferred by the company to such fund specified in schedule 7 or the unspent corporate social responsibility account as may be, or 2 lakh rupees, whichever is less. That the 1/10 of the amount required. And who are the you say that every officer of the company who's in default. Every officer means the KMPs of the company, like the CEO, CFO, MD, and the company secretaries. Company secretaries are the custodian of these CSR. But also we have to make an, as per the SEBI regulations, we have to appoint someone to take care of the CSR responsibility. So the directors are any ways responsible for it. So every officer of the company, which means the directors and the KMP, would be responsible and will abide with the penalty of the 1/10 of the amount which required to be transferred as per the calculation of the CSR amount, or 2 lakh rupees, whichever is lesser. So this is the obligation which has been given by the ministry. Like, you have to give a penalty, and to the penalty in the terms of amount, and the penalty is given to the in terms of amount to the officers also in the default. So that we need to keep in our mind that the Act has now gone very strict on the functioning and regulations of it. So we have to keep in mind. Now, section 135(8) says what is the power of a central government in this. The central government may give such general or a special directions to a company or a class of a company as it considers necessary to ensure the compliance of the provisions of these sections, and such class company or a class of company shall comply with all directions. That central government may intervene, and they can also guide the company to take care of the compliances of the CSR regulations. What are the exemptions for the constitution of CSR committee? Is as it talks about by the 135 subsection 9, that where the amount to be spent by a company under the subsection 135(5) does not exceed 50 lakh, the requirement under regulation 135(1) of constitution of CSR committee shall not be applicable, and the functioning of such committee provided under section in such cases be discharged by the board of the directors of the company. See what it means, like where there is a no requirement of the CSR committee, that is specific formation of a CSR committee, what it happened, the board had to take a onus. The board would be responsible for the calculation of this amount, formation of the policy, which is called as a CSR policy, and then the implementations and use of the CSR amount to the specified area as per the Schedule 7 of the Companies Act. So where the CSR committee is not there, the board will take care of, would take the onus and would take care, and its functioning would be done by the board. See, there were definitions which are very important to understand as per the purview of a law, that the CSR policy rules 2014 and then the CSR amendment rule 2021 along with the CSR policy amendment rule 2022 had given few definitions which would keep our thought process slightly more broadened. That what are the definitions, like the rule 2 subsection B says the administrative overheads. What it means the expenses which are incurred by the company for the general management and the administration of CSR functioning in the company, but shall not include the expenses directly incurred for designing, implementing, monitoring, and evaluation of a particular CSR project or the program. So these are the administrative overheads, which is a defined form, and we should keep in our mind while doing its calculations. Now, the company's corporate social responsibility policy rule 2014 put some points which should be kept in our mind when we are working on it. What it says like the corporate social responsibility means the activity which are undertaken by a company in pursuance of the statutory obligations laid down in the section 135 of the Act in accordance with the provisions contained in the rules, but shall not include the following, namely, which would not include following, namely what? First, activities undertaken in pursuance of the normal course of business of the company. See, provided that any company engaged in the research and development activity of a new vaccine, drugs, or the medical device in their normal course of business may undertake research and development activity of new vaccine, drugs, and medical devices related to COVID-19 for the financial year 21, 22, and 23, subject to conditions that such research and development activities shall be carried out in collaboration with an institute or organizations mentioned in item 9 of the Schedule 7 of the Act, and detail of such activities shall be disclosed separately in the annual report on the CSR included into board report. So what it talks about, like the activities which are undertaken in a normal course of business can be comprehended when it is done. For example, if we talk about the COVID-19 vaccines, then they will have to do in collaboration with any of the institute or the organization which are mentioned in the item 9 of the Schedule 7, which talks about where the CSR expenditures can be done. Then point number 2, any activity undertaken by the company outside India, except for training of Indian sports personnel representing any state or union territory at national level or India at international level, would not be considered. Third, contribution of any amount directly or indirectly to any political party under section 182 of the Act. So these are the regulations which has been appended in the rules, CSR policy rules 2014. Activities benefiting the employees of a company as defined in the clause 7 of section 2 of the Code of Wages Act. What I was talking about, that what all would not be considered as a CSR, putting into exceptions. One is this, that you cannot do for the benefit of your employees. Activities supported by the company on a sponsorship basis for delivering marketing benefits of products or the services. Then activities carried out for the fulfillment of any other statutory obligations under law in the force in India. So see what it means, basically what it happened, that number of times the corporates have done the CSR to their own employees, for their own betterment, for their own benefit, for their own promotion. So actually, as we do working and as the ministry gives a strict check on the functioning and its operation of CSR, so they have come up with this number of challenges where they have faced that the CSR which has been spent is technically not spent in the regulations as per the Schedule 7 of the Act. So that's why the ministry keep a visual on the functioning, how it is getting done, and what is the mode of operation of it. I think everyone is getting my point. Yeah. So next is the more is the one which talked about the CSR committee. Just a point to explain it. CSR committee means that the Corporate Social Responsibility Committee of the board, which is referred in the section 135 of the Act, where they have said that the board will be forming a committee, which we discussed earlier, that what would be the compositions and all. Now, Rule 2, subsection F says that there is a CSR policy. What is a CSR policy? Which means a statement containing the approach and direction given by the board of a company, taking into account the recommendation of the CSR committee and including guiding principles for selection, implementations, monitoring of activities, and a formulation of the annual action plan. See, what this CSR policy is basically a policy and which talks about that, that what would be the amount and how the selection of the CSR would be done, what would be the process of implementations, what would be the monitoring checkpoints, what are the activities we are taking care in the CSR policy. So all is taken care in the CSR policy, and also formation of an annual action plan. Like, see, when we do the expenditure, so as a corporate house, if I say that as a corporate house, what we do the calculations of the 2% of the profits of the preceding 3 financial year. I make a calculation. I see what area I have to spend as per the Schedule 7 of the Companies Act. And then we see that what would be the roadmap of its implementations and its use. So how I would be doing it up, then now I also have to keep a check on the monitoring that where this expenditure is getting done or not. Also, then I have to make an annual action plan that the first quarter, I will expend this much amount in this particular area. In the second quarter, we'll do this much amount in this area. So see, the board through the CSR committee is always getting updated of the amount which has been given for the financial year, and then what is the way of operations, how you have spent that amount. So board should keep a visual on the functioning of the CSR. So you'll appreciate it that there's a double check. First of all, the CSR committee through its member does this exercise, and this is all submitted to the board. And the top-notch brands in India who are the listed companies also take a quarterly review from the CSR committee that what is the expenditure done and what is the amount left. Now comes the rule H, which talks about the net profit, which I was talking about, which means the net profit of a company as per the financial statement prepared in accordance with the application of the law of the Act, but shall not include the following, namely what? Any profit arising from the overseas branch or branches of company, whether operated as a separate company or otherwise, and any dividend received from the other companies in India, which are covered under and complying with the provision of Section 135. So these 2 points should be kept in our mind when we are calculating the net profits as per Section 190. Provided that in the case of a foreign company covered under these rules, net profit means the net profit of such company as per the profit and loss account prepared in the terms of Clause A of subsection 1 of Section 381, read with the Section 198 of the Act. So all the company secretaries here all around would always appreciate that get this amount calculated by the finance team of yours, the chartered accountants of your company who are working on it, who are working on the balance sheets. So sit with them, understand that what all to be considered, and then the calculation should be finalized. Now, a term is called as an ongoing project. What it means, like a multi-layer project, which is undertaken by the company in the fulfillment of its CSR obligations, having timelines not exceeding 3 years, including the financial year in which it was commenced, and shall include such projects that was initially not approved as a multi-year project, but whose duration has been extended beyond 1 year by the board based on the reasonable justification. So this is a definition of an ongoing project we should keep in our mind, like when we are transacting, that what it happens in a number of time where we have taken a project and we have to do the transactions, and so its time duration has expanded. So we have to keep in our mind its functioning. Now it comes to Rule 2J, what the public authority means, that defined in the Clause H of Section 2 of Right to Information Act 2005 and 2022 or 2005. Now the Rule 3, what it says, that the scope of a CSR applicability and the constitution of a CSR committee, every company, including its holding or a subsidiary and a foreign company defined under Clause 42 of Section 2 of Act having its branch office or project office in India, which fulfills the criteria specified in the subsection 1 of 135, would have to comply this 135 provisions of section 135 of the CSR. So we also have to keep a check and a tab that if we are holding, we have a subsidiary company or the foreign company, so we'll have to keep a check and a tab that whether it would be falling under the ambit of 135 or not. So we have to be very vigilant. We have to prompt enough to have a look of it. Provided that the net worth, turnover, or net profit of a foreign company of Act shall be computed in accordance with the balance sheet and P&L account of such company, prepared in the accordance with the provisions of Clause A and subsection 1 of 381 of 198 of the Act. So we have to keep in our mind these functionings. Provided further that a company having any amount unspent in CSR account and as per the subsection 6 of the 135 shall constitute a CSR committee and comply with the provisions contained in the subsection 2 and 6 of the said sections 135. So we have to keep into account that how the CSR committee functions and its working should be taken into consideration. Now it comes like what the rule 4, which talked about that what is the CSR implementations. The board shall ensure that the CSR activities are undertaken by the company itself or through, see, the board will be the custodian here, where they will see that how the CSR activities are whether taken care by company or through a company established in the under section 8 of the Act or registered public trust or registered society, which are exempted under subclause 456, 6A of clause 23C of section 10 of registered under the section 12A of approved 80G of Income Tax Act established by company either singly or along with the company, or a company established under section 8 of the Act or a registered trust or a registered society or established by central government or state government. Prima facie, we have to understand that who all can do this CSR. Either the company can do or these modes can do. A company registered under section 8 to the trust or society or any entity established under the Act of a Parliament or a state legislature can also do the CSR expenditure on behalf of the company if the company is not doing the same themselves. A company established under the section 8 of the Act or a registered public trust or a registered society exempted under the subclause 456 6A of clause 20C of section 10 of the registered under section 12A and approved under the 80G of Income Tax Act 1961 and having an established track record of at least 3 years undertaking similar activities. So these units or the entity should have a track record of at least 3 years that they have done this CSR expenditure in the one mode or the other. Explanation: for the purpose of clause, the term entity shall mean a statutory body constituted under an act of parliament or a state legislature or to undertake activities covered under the Schedule 7 of the Act. Now, the CSR implementations and the role of a board, it goes hand in hand, which talks about that every entity covered under the sub-rule 1 who intends to undertake an CSR activity shall register itself with the central government by filing the form CSR 1 electronically with the registrar with effect from 1/4/21. See, this is the obligation of filing a form in the form called as a CSR 1, in which they have to file it to the ROC MCA. Form CSR 1 shall be signed and submitted electronically by the entity company and shall be verified digitally by the chartered accountant in practice or a company secretary or a cost accountant. So this is the filing process which we have to keep in our mind. On the submission of the form CSR 1 on the portal, the unique CSR registration number is generated by the system automatically, which we have to keep with us. A company may engage in the international organization for designing, monitoring, and evaluation of CSR projects or programs as per CSR policy, as well as for the capacity building of the own personnel for the CSR. A company may also collaborate with the other companies for undertaking the projects or the programs, the CSR activities in such a manner that the CSR committee of respective companies are in a position to report separately on such projects and programs in accordance with the rules. So we have to keep in mind that how the expenditure goes, but we should keep a tab that how this amount is coming and where we are spending. So we have to keep a tab on it. The board of a company shall also satisfy itself that the funds of so disbursed have been utilized for the purpose and the manner as approved by it and the chief financial officer or the person responsible for the financial management certified. So see here, the owners of a CFO who is also a KMP by default had to take a onus that amount which has been calculated is spent in a correct mode in the correct area. In the case of ongoing projects, the board of a company shall monitor the implementation of the projects to reference to the approved timeliness and year-wise allocations and shall be competent to make modifications, if any, for the smooth implementation of projects within the overall permissible time limit which has been provided by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Now it comes the CSR expenditure. What is CSR expenditure? That board shall ensure that the administrative overhead shall not exceed the 5% of the total CSR expenditure of the company for the financial year. Any surplus which is arising out of the CSR activities shall not form part of business profit of a company and shall be plowed back into the same projects and shall be transferable to the unspent CSR account and spent in the CSR policy as per the action plan which has been made by the company, or transfer such surplus amount to the fund specified in the Schedule 7 within a period of 6 months of the expiry of the financial year. So these are technical tenure of time which you have to keep in mind while do these transactions. Where a company spends an amount in excess of required provided under subsection 5 of 135, such excess amount be set off against the requirement of a spent under subsection 5 of section 135 to immediate succeeding 3 financial years, subject to condition that the excess amount available for set-off shall not include the surplus arising of the CSR activities, if any, pursuant to sub-rule of 2 of this rule, and the board of the company shall pass a resolution to this effect. The board of the company will have to pass the resolution that how its operation goes on. Fourth, the CSR amount may be spent by a company for a creation of acquisition of a capital asset, which it can also be used for the acquisition of capital asset, which shall be held by a company established under section 8 of the Act, or a registered public trust, or a registered society, or having a charitable trust having your objects and a CSR registration number under sub-rule 2 of the rule 4, and the beneficiaries of said CSR projects in the form of self-help groups or a collective or entities, or a public authority can be the one. Provided that any capital assets created by the company prior to the commencement of the CSR policy amendment rule 21 shall within 180 days from such commencement comply with the requirement of this for the period of not more than 90 days with the approval of the board based on the reasonable justice. That's the time span which has been given by the MCA to come into the obligation of a law with the first 180 days and not more than the 90 days extra which has been given, 180 plus 90. Now, these are one CSR reporting also. Whatever you have done, now the reporting is a very important factor, like how it goes. The board report of the company covered under the rules pertaining to any financial year shall include annual report on the CSR containing particulars specified in Annexure 1. So see, this is the format in the annual report of the company where the board report forming the part of the CSR, where the format of CSR expenditure is given, and in the form of Annexure 1 and Annexure 2 applicable to annual report on CSR activity to be included in the board report by commencing on and after 1/4/2020 as applicable. Annexure 2, these are the formats which has been given by the MCA dated 29/2022. In case of foreign company, the balance sheet filed under clause B of subsection 1 of section 381 of the Act shall contain an annual report on CSR containing particulars specified in Annexure 1 and 2 as applicable. Every company having the average CSR obligation of 10 crores or more in pursuance of subsection 5 of section 135 of the Act in the 3 immediately preceding financial year shall undertake the impact assessment through an independent agency of a CSR having its outlay of rupees 1 crore or more and which have been completed not less than 1 year before taking the impact. See, so what it happens, the company whose average CSR obligation is 10 crore or more, so they will have to have a undertake an impact assessment agency and of those CSR projects, and who should outlay that rupees 1 crore or more through its operations, and not less than 1 year has been passed for the impact study. So this is the condition we have to keep in our mind. The impact assessment report shall be placed before the board and shall be annexed to the annual report. So what that impact assessment report, which you have taken from the independent agency, shall form the part of the report, and that should be placed in the annual report under the CSR head and to be placed before the board. A company undertaking the impact assessment may book the expenditure towards CSR for the financial year, which shall not exceed 2% of total CSR expenditure for the financial year, or rupees 50 lakhs. So for this exercise, you cannot exceed the 2% of total CSR expenditure or rupees 50 lakhs, whichever is higher. So this is a regulation which has been given by the MCA. Now, the display of CSR activities on website. The board of directors of a company shall mandatorily disclose the composition of a CSR committee and the CSR policy and projects approved by the board on the website of the public company. What I've discussed earlier, that you have to put it on the website of a company. Transfer of the unspent CSR until a fund is specified in Schedule 7 for the purpose of Section 5 and 6 of 135. The unspent CSR amount, if any, shall be transferred by the company to a fund included in Schedule 7 of the Act, which you have discussed. Form CSR 2, Rule 12 of Chapter 9 of Companies Act 14. Every company covered under the provision of subsection 1 to section 135 shall furnish a report of CSR in the form CSR 2 to the expenditure. So this is the filing which we have to do to the ROC. Provided also that for the financial 2023, form CSR 2 shall be filed separately on or before 31st March 24 after filing the form number AOC 4 or form AOC 4 NBFC INDAS as specified in the rules, or form AOC4 XBRL as specified in the companies, which is a filing of documents and form. This XBRL is a filing of a document and form in extensible business reporting language, Rule 15 as the case may be. So it is a format in which the filing of CSR is getting done. And now this is the Schedule 7, what we always talked about, that where we can spend the money, where that CSR expenditure can be done. So this is done as per the Schedule 7, what we talked about, the Schedule 7 of the Companies Act, which says that what are the areas where you can spend the CSR amount, which has been calculated by you as a company. So what are those activities which may be included by the company in their corporate social responsibility act, so corporate responsibility policy activities are relating to, first, eradicating hunger, poverty, and malnutrition, promoting healthcare, including preventive healthcare and sanitation, including contribution to the Swachh Bharat Kosh set up by the central government for the promotions of sanitations and making available safe drinking water. So see, this is the first area where you can do the CSR expenditure. What is the second? Promoting educations, including special education and employment, enhancing the vocational skills, especially among the children, women, elderly, and the differently abled, and livelihood enhancement projects where you can do the CSR. Third is the promoting gender equality, empowering women, setting up homes and hostels for the women and the orphans, setting up the old age homes, daycare centers, and such other facilities for the senior citizens, and measures for reducing the inequalities faced by socially and economically backward groups. Fourth is ensuring the environmental sustainability, ecological balance, protection of flora and fauna, animal welfare, agroforestry, conservation of natural resources, and the maintaining quality of soil, air, and water, including the contribution to the Clean Ganga Fund set up by the central government for rejuvenation of the river Ganga. So these are the areas where the Schedule 7 talks about where we can do this CSR expenditure. So the activities which may be included by the companies in their CSR responsibility policies actually relating to, fifth is the protection of national heritage, art and culture, including restoration of buildings and sites of historical importance and works of art, setting up public libraries, promotion, development in traditional art and handicraft. So I will put one this live example of it, like, this protection of natural heritage. So I was working as a compliance officer with Shalimar Paints. So although the Shalimar was in losses, but actually we were voluntarily doing the CSR in the Shalimar. So actually the Howrah Bridge in Kolkata, the renovations of and its uptake and care was taken care by Shalimar Paints. Although I will confirm that the Shalimar Paints had their initial registered office in Kolkata. So the Shalimar had taken this opportunity, and the CSR amount which they have spent. So they have spent in the renovations of the Howrah Bridge in Kolkata. So this is also an area like, restoration of buildings and of historical importance. So there also you can do the CSR. Sixth is the measures for benefit of armed forces, veterans, war widows, their dependent central armed forces, CAPF and the central paramilitary forces, CPMF veterans and their dependent including widows. There also amount can be spent. Seventh is the training to promote the rural sports, nationally recognized sports, Paralympic sports and the Olympic sports. Eighth is contribution to the Prime Minister National Relief Fund or the Prime Minister's Citizen Assistance and Relief in Emergency Situations Fund, PM Care Fund, or any other fund set up by the central government for the socio-economic development and the relief and the welfare of scheduled caste, tribes, and other backward classes, minorities, and the women. Further, where we can do, ninth is a contribution to incubators or research and the development projects in the field of science, technology, engineering, and medicine, funded by the central government or the state government or the public sector undertaking or any agency or the central government or the state government. Contribution to the public funded universities like IITs, national laboratories, and autonomous bodies established under the Department of Atomic Energy, Department of Biotechnology, Department of Science, Department of Pharmaceuticals, Ministry of Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, Homeopathy, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, and other bodies, namely the Defense Research and Development Organizations, Indian Council of Agricultural Research, Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR, ICAR, Indian Council of Scientific and Institutional Research, CSIR, engaged in the conducting researches in science, technology, engineering, and medicines, aimed at promoting sustainable development goals, SDGs, and the 10th is a rural development projects. So these are the projects. Also, the two was included, that is slum area development, that for the purpose of this item, the term slum area shall mean any area declared as such by the central government or the state government or any other competent authority under any law for the time being of forces slum area. And 12th is the disaster management, including relief, rehabilitations, and reconstruction activities. So I think this is the 12 pointers in the Schedule 7, which talks about that where you can do the CSR expenditure. So this was, I think, all by me at this point of time. I think.
Yes, please.
So, and as a request, I will share this PPT of the benefit of everyone. So because there are some technical numbers which are coming in between, so I think those numbers helps us to get it sorted in, like, when you are doing the CSR expenditure, so that calculation of the amount, and then within what time span, you've not spent. So within 30 days, that needs to be transferred in the unspent CSR amount, and then
You are not audible, sir.
sorry. So I'm audible right now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So that for the benefit of the members, I will share the PPT. So, you can, when anyone who is working in this area of CSR, so they would help them out. And lastly, we discussed that where the 12 pointers are there, where we can do the expenditure of CSR. So it's because a lot of changes has come, so in the CSR policies as its implementations in the course of time, because, and it's like a process of refining the things day by day. When we have started working on it, as a whole, and how the corporates should also benefit by doing it in the due course. So I think I was able to clarify my thought process in the terms CSR. So with this, I would like to end my session. Sir.
Yes, please, please. Once, because this is the CSR is applicable only when there is a net worth of the 500 crores or there is a turnover of 1,000 crores in the company.
Yes, sir.
Then how the net worth can be calculated? Means what it means by net worth means? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Mr. Gautam.
So net worth is assets minus liabilities.
Hello.
How it will be calculated? Net worth, how will be calculated 500 crores?
Sir, this net worth is calculated as per the regulation given by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, where they have given a format that what all to be considered as per the calculation of net worth. For example, like the net profit, which has given as per section 198, net worth is a section, I think they have given that how the net worth is calculated. So that to be taken into care of, and the finance team will do it for us. So net worth calculation as per the balance sheet, we'll have to get the net worth, and then we have to calculate whether we are forming in that benchmark of net worth or not. So if we are falling, we have to do. If we are not, we don't have to.
Means there is no mandatory requirement once there is no net worth of 500 crores, but even though they want to comply, they can comply.
Yeah, as I told you, in the Shalimar Paints, that was a loss-making company, but actually they wanted to do the CSR. So voluntarily, you can do at any point of time. There's no mandatory obligation of you. But if you come in terms of a mandatory obligations, you have to see that 500 crore, 1,000 crore, and 5 crores and all. So if you're falling in that ambit, it's mandatory for you. If it's not mandatory for you, you can do at any point of time. And I'll share you, sir, because these companies are doing CSR, because it's like a silver spoon for the economy in a society. They say that we are doing CSR and all, so they want to put a clear picture that we are spending something in CSR and doing something good to the environment and all. So that might be good to a cause, to a limit, that you are doing something or the other, even if you are not able to. So you are serving the society, but that is not even mandatory to us. That's not mandatory.
But company is, suppose the company is giving that CSR amount to a person, means suppose resident welfare association is there, but that is not registered either in trust or society or under section 8 company, then that will be also be considered as a CSR, or there is a mandatory
no, sir. Here I will like to add, like, if you are doing the CSR voluntarily, although you are not mandatory for you, but when you are doing the CSR in terms of law, you will have to go through the regulations of law. You will appreciate that once it has been followed as a CSR, you will have to go through the regulations where it talks about that a section 8 company should be registered, and then you will get the benefit, because when you are showing this amount in your balance sheet as a CSR expenditure, it would only be done because when you go through the regulations 135 of the Companies Act, as per as the Schedule 7. Also, when you put the term CSR, you can only spend in those 12 pointers only, which Schedule 7 talks about, that these are the 12 areas where you can do the CSR expenditure. If you do something other than that, that can be, a charity you are doing as a company, but that is not counted as a CSR. So you have to abide by the law as per the CSR compliances in terms of forming the committees, in terms of expenditure, in terms of area of expenditure, when you call it as a CSR. Although if it's not mandatory for you, but you are doing. So we have to keep in our mind that when we are putting on the papers as a CSR, we have to go through the rules and regulations, which has been led by the Section 135 of the Companies Act and the regulations, which is coming up day to day. For example, the CSR 1 filings and CSR 2 filing, which comes in a course of time with its functionings, its operations, like when the money is coming, that needs to be spent within the 3 years. And when you are carrying forward that amount, that also need to be reported to the CSR committee and then to the board, because the companies used to have keep a visual and a check where the amount is getting spent.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
Time is almost over, but even though.
Yes, sir.
Suppose if the company started business and incorporated in the year, suppose in 2019, and they have not achieved that target up to 2022 of 500 net worth, and once they achieve the target more than the net worth in the 500 crores in 23.
Yes, sir.
Then how the CSR means it will be calculated, because you are saying that the 3 financial years should be there.
Yes, sir.
How the amount then calculate that
what it happens, see, it says that the 2% of the average profit of preceding 3 financial years. But it always say, see, for example, if there's only 2 financial years they have completed, but they have crossed that benchmark of 500 crores and 1,000 crores, and so that is under the ambit of CSR. So then you have to get the audited balance sheet of the company for those 2 financial years. Sorry, you have to take that for the 2 financial years, and then you have to calculate that whether that amount is coming. Then the 2% of that particular numbers need to be taken, sir.
Whatever is the more than 500 crores net worth, if it is net worth of the 500 crores, then whatever will be the profit, 2% of that, even the 1 financial year profit can be calculated at 2%.
हाँ. Sir, what it happens earlier क्या होता था, कुछ कंपनीज करती थी कि फॉर एग्जांपल अगर वो फर्स्ट फाइनेंशियल ईयर में लॉसेस में आ रहे हैं तो सेकंड फाइनेंशियल ईयर में प्रॉफिट में है, तो प्रॉफिट और लॉसेस को सेट ऑफ कर देते थे। और द सेकंड स्कूल ऑफ थॉट है कि नहीं, जो फर्स्ट फाइनेंशियल ईयर का प्रॉफिट है बट उसको कंसीडर करो, लॉस को मत करो। So there is a slight ambiguity, but now it says that if there's a 2 financial year, तो आप 2 financial years का ही average profit 2% of the average profit लोगे, not for the, because that has incorporated. So that tangibility of law is not there because 3% हुआ नहीं है, but by the virtue of law, because वो acumen में आ गया है कि like it's applicability of a CSR, so we have to consider it for the 2 financial years. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for your
enlightenment on this issue.
Is there anyone who want to ask certain questions? Yes, please.
I think I have not seen the chat. In the chat, something is there.
No, there is no question in the chat as well.
Okay.
So are there any defined activities in CSR for which the funds can be utilized?
Yes, sir. The Schedule 7 talks about the activities where we can do the CSR activities. So Schedule 7 of the Companies Act, which has been given for the CSR, though which I have read in the last, then there are 12 areas where we can do the CSR. I will share this PPT for the benefit of all the members, so they can go through it and its functioning and applicability, that how that amount is spent and what the number of days calculations and all. And anyone having doubt, we can have also the one-to-one discussions. I think I am there, sir, in the Vidya Vijay Foundation group. Nitya, sir?
Yes, you are there.
Yeah, so I am there. So I will share this PPT, and anyone if having any discrepancy or understanding issues, then we can discuss also one-to-one. I think sir has given a platform to me, and now we are connected to all the family members in Vidya Vijay Foundation also. Because
Yes,
once you connect to people.
We are grateful to have a people like you.
Thank you, sir. Because it's also an opportunity for me to connect. क्योंकि सर होता क्या है कि आप ग्रुप्स में हो तो हो, but जब ये physical meetings या virtual meetings होती हैं, you connect to people and you meet each other. So I think that the spectrum opens.
Yes,
so,
yes, of course.
To serve everyone. Yeah. And thanks a lot for your opportunity which has given by you to me. So would be continuing my services to the team and the family members.
Thank you. Thanks. Yes,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Nikita.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you everyone for your time. Thank you.
Now, I would like to thank CS Gautam Verma for such valuable content. Also, I would like to thank Dr. Nitin Singh for giving us this platform through Vidya Vijay Foundation. Thank you everyone for joining. Have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Nikita.
you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nitya sir. Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
a very
sir.
valuable time and very valuable inputs on this
Thank
subject
you.
matter.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.